Every day, abused and neglected children in our community are removed from their homes because their parents cannot or will not take care of them. A group of volunteers advocate for the best interest of these children. The program, its volunteers, and how you can help is coming up next on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Lauren Lingell. With me in studio, we have Diane Schmeltz. I hope I said that right.
You did, yes.
And your role, I'm not even going to tell people what it is because you're going to tell me what it is.
Okay,
So.
I'm the recruiter for the Guardian Ad Litem program. I started as a volunteer almost 15 years ago, was offered a job within a year, and I've done training, I've taken cases, but the need is so extensive that I have been recruiting probably for 13 years now.
So you've really, you got involved, and this was a cause that really kind of wrapped its arms around you.
It became a passion. It really did. Right. I could see the difference we were making one step at a time, one child at a time, and it became a mission, a passion. The staff that works there all feel the same way. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is abuse and neglect. It's rampant all over the state, especially Polk County. We have almost 2,000 children that have now been removed because of abuse and neglect allegations. So the need is there. A lot of people think, oh, it's going to be so sad, it's going to be so hard. But boy, some of the success stories that we have make it all worth it.
Absolutely. And before we get into that, tell me a little bit, okay, when you say abuse and neglect, kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because I want to be thorough. I want people to know what types of things volunteers and guardians are actually helping with.
Well, these are all children that someone has called in an abuse report. Maybe a doctor sees injuries in a hospital, and the injury he's looking at and the explanation that she fell off the bed, just doesn't know. That child didn't fall off the bed and get this injury. Mm-hmm. Maybe a teacher sees bruises on a child, or a child confides in a teacher. My stepdad beats me, or we're homeless, we're living in our car. Can be just anything from milder neglect to very severe abuse with hospitalization and major injuries. So someone calls in the report, the Department of Children and Families investigate. If they feel the kids are at risk, they remove them. A judge assesses the entire situation. We're not even involved yet. All this happens before the program steps in. But if a judge feels these kids are at risk, there's something going on here, he makes it a case in the dependency court system. And that's when he appoints the Guardian Ad Litem program. So the good news is we haven't removed the children. We don't make the allegations. We don't have to be judgmental, and nobody is angry or mad at us. You know, it's a good position to be in.
Exactly.
But we step in with a couple different roles. The judge wants us to gather information by talking to the children, by getting medical records, by talking to teachers. Maybe the children are with a relative, or maybe there is no relative and they're in foster care. So we gather information from all sources, and then our volunteers work as part of a team with a staff coordinator and an attorney, and we figure out what's best for the kids. What do we believe is in the children's best interest? And we actually report that to the judge. So we're making huge differences in court because we're independent. We're the neutral party that is only focusing on the kids. While we do that, we become maybe the only consistent adult for those children. You know, they're moved around. It might be a milder neglect case. We have a lot of drug issues, a lot of cases where drugs are an issue and parents just don't know what they're not doing. We've got single moms that they don't have money. They're not affording stuff. They're selling drugs or manufacturing meth to make money to buy food, to pay the rent. So it's a host. Every case is different, but that's why you work as a team with a coordinator. But for this child, that's life. You know, it's everything is turned upside down. The turmoil when they're removed from their homes, even if it was a bad situation, that's mommy, that's daddy. They love their parents. So we step in and try to become a consistent adult that they can trust.
So what I really want to, I guess, reiterate is that these children, mental, verbal, sometimes sexual abuse, physical abuse, they are coming, to get to this point, it was not in their best interest at all.
Right, exactly.
And so, and like you said, your team, you guys are in a great, you're in a great spot to be able to say, I'm not trying to replace your parents. I know you love them, even if, unspeakable things have happened between the two of you. But I want to be somebody that you can lean on for a time.
Absolutely. And let the kids know they matter. There is an adult in their life that cares about them. I've had kids say to me when I've had cases, Mom loves the drugs more than she loves me. They don't think they matter at all because their parents have let them down. So when they have another adult step in that's a stranger that becomes a trusted friend, they realize, wow, somebody cares. I matter to somebody. And all of us can think of a handful of people that made a difference in our lives growing up.
Oh, absolutely.
We know without a doubt they love me, and no matter what I do, they're never going to walk away. That's what we try to do for the kids.
And so as you're appointed to a child, or however you're serving the Guardian Ad Litem program,
right?
What's like the very simplest thing that you're expected to do?
Well, it is fairly easy. We do have an application process, I do an interview, more to get to know the volunteer. Everyone's coming with gifts and talents and insights. It also helps me assign them to a coordinator, which is a staff person, and then what kind of cases we're going to put them on. So we go through training, we go through a level 2 background screening for them. Again, we're going to put them with children. We've got to be very careful.
Right.
But then we expect them at least once a month to make a visit. See that child, get to know that child. You're going to keep in communication with your coordinator. We are ultimately responsible for our part of the case. So we need to make sure you've seen the visit. You're not going to read about us falsifying anything that children have been seen. If the volunteer can't do it that month, their coordinator is going to jump in and do it for them.
So that one visit, though, is that a minimum?
That is a minimum, yes. We promise the judge that we will see the children at least once a month. That could be as quick as a half hour, 20 minutes popping into school and seeing them at school. Now, a lot of volunteers do more. They say, oh, I can't get to know the kids in that short a period of time, and I want them to learn to trust me. So some of the volunteers, we can actually take the children places. They take them to the park to play. We've got volunteers who love tennis. They've started teaching the kids how to play tennis. We have an older gentleman who's a runner. He took the young boy on his case running with him, and after a few months, he got good enough, they ran a 5K together. That little boy was on cloud 9. Wow. Somebody took the time to invest in him.
Right, and as you were mentioning before the show, volunteers get a lot out of this.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It's one of those things where you're going to get exactly what you put into it out of it.
Yes. And even if it is only, I had an awakening about a year ago. I started as a volunteer, and I had done an event, and on my way home, I went through a drive-through to get myself an iced coffee. And I drove through, paid the young lady at the window, and she handed me my coffee, and she said to me, "You're Diane, aren't you?" And I said, yes. And I thought, oh, who is she? Where do I know her from? We have a lot of volunteers. I know them, but I thought, maybe someplace I spoke. And she said my last name, and I said, yes. I mean, she obviously knew me. I did not recognize her. She started to smile. She said, Miss Diane, you don't recognize me. You were my guardian 13 years ago.
Wow.
She was now 20 years old, and I had been her guardian when she was 7. She was in 2nd grade. And the more I thought about, I parked my car, she came out, we hugged, and she started telling me things I told her when she was 7. And I was kind of blown away. I thought, whoa, if people knew how easy it was to make a difference. I didn't do anything earth-shattering or special. I just was there. I kept going back. I let her know she mattered. And here, 13 years later, she recognized me.
Showing up. There's so
showing
much to be said for showing up.
Yep. Yeah. Investing a little bit of time in these children. And I mean, she had a rough life, and that's part of the frustration. We lose volunteers not because they get too emotional, but because they get frustrated. And it's the system. It's slow. There are flaws. There are times we're making a recommendation and we don't have good choices. And it's kind of like, okay, this is the best of bad options. It's not maybe the way I raised my children, but it's better than what they had before we stepped into it. And that was her case. It wasn't the best options. But years later, I found out just because I had been a part of her life for a short period of time, I had made an impact.
You know, people are always talking about how, you know, when you smile at someone, it
Yeah.
changes their day. And I've always been very skeptical of that because I'm like, you know what, it doesn't change my day. It does make me feel good, but like not my whole day.
Right.
But you will say something to someone in your life, and you probably already have. And it may be that one little thing that changes it all and says, oh, somebody gets that.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
that's what you're really asking.
Right.
You're asking people to come be a part of this program. You know, step into somebody's life and say a few things that they've learned.
Right.
See if a bond forms, and it could make all the difference.
Exactly. Oh, it can. Absolutely. We have one volunteer that when she took a case, it was a 14-year-old girl, she was failing everything in school. Well, these kids hate school. They've probably been left back a few times. They've missed a lot of school. They don't have the basics. So they're not good at reading. They're not good at spelling. Their math isn't good. Then as they progress year after year, they think they're stupid. No, they didn't get the basics because they missed so much school as little kids. Well, this young lady was 14, and the guardian said to her, every time you better your report card, we'll do something special. My kids got a treat within reason when they bettered their report card. At first, this young lady, she wasn't sure. She didn't know she could trust her guardian, and was she really going to do something special for her? And she finally said to her, I've never had a pedicure. All my friends go for pedicures, and I've never had one. And the guardian said, okay, every time you better your report card, we will go for a pedicure. She ended that year with A's and B's in every single subject. And the bond between them, but the guardian said, you sit in the chairs, you're comfortable, it's social, you're being pampered. This young lady had never had that kind of attention. It was such a simple thing to do and enjoyable. That's the kind of stuff that's making a difference. This young lady will never forget that. And the guardian made her, by a little bit of effort, feel special.
I mean, these kids, they come like walls included.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like
absolutely.
You know, batteries included, but, you know, walls included. And and for even to create an environment where you're giving them permission to take down just like a plank of that fence or that wall.
Absolutely.
Then they begin to see the world very differently.
Absolutely. And they do push away first. They have built walls. They've learned. They've been taught, don't trust, because the people you depend on are going to walk away. So at first, they do have these walls built up, but little by little by little, by coming back, by being there, we break them down. And that's huge. They're going to go into young adulthood learning they can trust some people. That's going to make a huge impact for the whole society.
So if people are willing to show up, how can they get involved with Guardian ad litem?
They can call me. It's always hard for people to remember phone numbers. So if it's easier, they can go online and they can go to becomeaguardian.com. Very easy to remember.
Right.
When they fill out the information and hit submit, it comes right to my computer. If they want to call me, my direct line is 863-534-2547. And we know there's a lot of volunteering opportunities out there. Not everything is for everyone. But if someone thinks, oh, I don't think that's for me, but I know somebody that it might be for. Or maybe a wife wants to do it, but her husband's a little worried about her safety, and she's never going to be unsafe. Do it together as a team. So there are options that people can do if they have an interest.
And tell me, how many children do you say were taken out of the home recently?
We right now have a little over 2,000 children in this area that have been removed. So we're over 700 volunteers, which is tremendous, but that's not enough for all these kids.
So there's good that is waiting for you to come and do it. So, you know, we're out of time today, but we're gonna tell people how to get in touch with you.
Okay, wonderful.
And hopefully, you know, they'll give you a call.
Super, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Diane.
Okay.
The Guardian Ad Litem program becomes the voice for children who have been removed from their homes due to allegations of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. The Guardian gathers information and makes recommendations as to what they feel is in the best interest of the child they're appointed to represent. They also become a mentor, a friend, and a constant in the child's life. Guardian Ad Litem volunteers are ordinary people who do extraordinary things for some of our community's most vulnerable children. For more information, you can check them out on the web at www.becomeaguardian.com or give them a call at 863-534-2547. Show up. They need you.